this is where I'm up to. I've been scraping away at the white paint. That comes off fairly easily, and it leaves most of the grey primer, and I'll use that as a guide coat, and I'll rub that back from there. So, red car. Who'd have a red car, eh? Well, Freddie might. The door is good now. Spent hours on that. I'll just put some epoxy primer on there just to protect it from rust. Looking at the front wing, and I've been hammering on this. There was a lot of filler on this area here. It's had and we've got a hollow there. There's a crease along there. I've got some of it out, but it's still hollow. And I've got 4 holes here. Can you see them? And I thought these would be in a straight line, but they're not. This one is lower than that one. And we got an extra hole here. So those are Plein Ciel holes. I didn't expect to see an arrangement like that. But I'm going to try another tool now. So I've just sprayed some black paint on there just as a guide. This is 120. That crease along there. So I'm going to use this now. Can I get? I'll try and put a picture in. And I made this obviously, and you can get into places. This is just pipe, it's nothing heavy. Let's see what it does here. It's brought that up quite a bit there. Still got hollow there. Still a heavy crease there. good, that's a bit closer. I've got another one up there which you probably can't see, another dent. It's surprising where you can reach with this tool. It's another change of plan. This top red coat, it just won't feather out. It just breaks away. So that's got to come off. But we've got an etch, and we've got a grey primer. Then we've got a red top coat, and we've got another red on top. So presumably that's the original red there, and then it's been resprayed over the top of that. So I'm going to scrape the whole lot off, get back to bare metal. Right, my dilemma. Left hand side door gaps, I have 4 to 5 millimeters back and front. That's good, I can live with that. On the right hand side, I've got 7.5 here and 3 millimeters here. There's no shims under the hinges, so I can't move the door that way any. And I'm just wondering whether I could weld a wire onto the edge of the wing. And is it worth doing it? Is that too much? I mean, every time I look at it, it bothers me. I think that's the answer, isn't it? Okay. Right, here's what I'm going to do. So I found this bit of stock. This is 3.25, so I'm going to say that's my door gap. I put that down there, down the gap, and then I've measured back to a fixed point, 90, 90, 90, then it becomes 130 down here. Be any number you like. So when I take the door off and weld this on, I can measure back from here to the edge of the wire and grind it back to where I want, rather than trying to refit the door every time. And that should get me in the ballpark. And the door gap of 3.25 is going to be maybe a touch tight, but that'll give me a little bit of wiggle room. So see how easy it is to weld that wire on there. And these wires, by the way, these wires are from a clothes drying rack. So I chopped them all off. I broke one. I thought, oh, those will be handy. And look, they're a little bit wide. Can I do it? A little bit wide at the top there, but not far off. Then they get too thick here, down here, but that gives me something to grind off. Okay, doing this in 2 sections. So if I tack it where I'm happy, then I should be able to just tap it into place. I'll put a wet cloth against the windscreen. I would cry if that broke. Let's get welding. That's the top bit roughed in. I've done it in 2 bits. So we've got a join here. There's the bottom tacked in. Well, that tack didn't take. So weld this up now. I thought I'd do the difficult bit first, which is that top bend, because there's a couple of different bends going on there. Well, first fit of the door, and I'm pretty pleased with that. It's still a bit tight down here. But now I've got the door on, I can maybe scribe off the door, I don't know. That's good, I've got about 3.5 there, I think. Yeah, 3.5 there. I'm happy with that, and then it gets a bit tighter. So by the time I clean that up, rounded that off a bit, that'll be great. That's so much better. And you just get a slitting disc in there to just clean up that edge. I've still got to round it off, but I'll do that when I take the door off. But I feel really quite pleased with myself for doing that. A little skimmer filler over that, and that'll be good. Right, here's my wing mirror. Does anybody want to watch this stuff? I mean, if you do, press the like, press subscribe. Anyway, let's see what we're doing now. I'm fed up of rubbing down the car, so I'm going to have a go at this. And this came off with some heat. I did put a little chip in there, which is a bit of a shame, but I can live with that. So I warmed it up, and that glue melted, and it came off. So this is a bit of a rubbish idea. It seems to be just a friction sort of ball joint. There's no spring in there, and these rivets seem to be part of the casting. It's just this plate's just put on and peened over, so I can't reuse those. I'm gonna have to grind those off somehow. But I think I'll modify it and try and put some sort of spring arrangement in there. Let's have a go. Okay, let's see what happens here. Put a bigger drill through that. Try that one. It's hanging on. Surely that's going to be enough. There we go. Yes, that's obviously bent, and it's not putting any tension on there. Pretty poor idea. See if we can invent something better than that. I'd like to spring it somehow, and I have got this box of all sorts. And if I could incorporate maybe a third of that spring in there somehow. Whether I can do that, I don't know. I don't see just putting it back together, flattening the plate out. I mean, it'll work for a while. I've got nothing there to rivet it to now. That's just a poor idea. Don't like that. Right, here's my plan. I'm going to do away with that nylon cup. I'll just turn this down so that spring will fit over there. I'm going to cut this down here and put a cup on the end, and then I'll put some sort of plate over here. So that's where I'm up to so far. And yes, it's pretty much a complete waste of time, but I enjoy doing this stuff. Just testing my ability. Right, that's as far as I can go now for today. I'll epoxy, these are some washers with some bolts welded to it. I'll epoxy those onto there, somewhere there. And then that will go in there, obviously with a shorter spring and a plate across the top. And then I should be able to put a variable amount of tension on that spring, on how far I bolt that down. Wing mirror, so it's been 2 or 3 days since I put that epoxy on, so that should be good and hard. Now this is my first attempt. I was going to weld a little dot on there to take the spring, and then that would go on there and push that spring down. But because I had to put that angle on, because those bolts aren't straight, I just run out of spring. So, second attempt. And that will take that whole spring there. So we'll bolt that up, put some grease on it and bolt it up. And there it is, and that works. And that thing just misses the mirror by about 1mm. So I'm glad I've saved that. I'm going to fill that base fully with some filler, so that I can make a rubber pad and glue it onto the base, and then back on the car. Well, eventually back on the car.